Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald of Second Swing Golf here in the Second Swing Minnetonka Tour Van, joined by Bella McCauley. And Bella's with us with a new 3-wood, and then we're also going to compare it to something a little bit older. So Bella, this is your 3-wood. It's a Titleist GT2, recently fit for. What do you like about it, and why is it in your bag now?
Yeah, so the GTs came out recently, and I've been using them throughout the fall season. I really like this. It's actually really similar to, I felt like, the TSR that I was using before. But it just, it just has a really good feel off the club face. I feel like it's fairly consistent, and I can definitely rely on it. So I really like it.
Yeah, and I also like that you've got that, actually, that sort of the higher loft, the 16.5 version, which is, just a little bit of a boost in the air. Also have it in the B1 setting, so those of you that know the Sure-Fit hosel, slightly on the flat side in terms of the line angle. So, but today we're going to compare it to the 915F, also with the 16.5 degree head. When you look at this, Bella, it's obviously it's 10 years old. I know there's not a huge shape difference from initially looking at it, but what do you see and what do you think will maybe be the differences here?
Yeah, so honestly, like when I initially see it, it actually doesn't look a whole lot different than the club I'm using now. Fairly like compact face, really simple looking. But, and it is Titleist too, so very similar, but it is a lot older. So I'm wondering if like distance could be different, especially since this is like a lot newer, being the GT. So I'm wondering if it's distance, but I'm actually really curious to find out.
Yeah, definitely. There's a certain things on the bottom of the club here too. Just kind of the different design. They've cleaned it up a ton. It looks a lot more modern and futuristic with GT2. So what we're gonna have you hit a few good shots with your current gamer. We'll throw in actually your shaft into the 915F, and then we'll see how things compare.
Perfect, sounds good.
Okay, so when you're using this now, Bella, is this primarily a club to kind of like on long holes, kind of chase up towards the green type of thing?
Yeah. So like normally I use it like on par 5s just as a layup shot. So sometimes I'm pretty actually comfortable even choking up on it or hitting it a little bit, like even shot shaping it sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, normally it's just used on like par 5s, like roll up to the green or things like that.
Some good speed there.
Yeah, a lot straighter too.
Do you ever use this off the tee? I mean, you probably do in some scenarios off the tee, but like, I know you hit your driver so darn straight that you probably don't like, there's never a time where you're like, oh, I need to be super accurate here. Let me grab my 3-wood.
Yeah.
Your driver's accurate enough, knowing what I know about your game.
Well, thank you. Sometimes I also don't hit it like crazy far comparatively to some people. So sometimes it's nice to just get driver off the tee, even if it's risking it a bit more.
Yeah.
But there are sometimes I will pull out 3-wood. Especially courses that are a bit quirky, where like with weird dog legs or things like that, I will use it then. I know at Nationals, I pulled it out a couple of times off the tee as well.
So it's kind of, call it 210, 215, sort of the number that you play for out on the course in terms of your total distance?
Yep, totally. Like 215 is a good number. But obviously with like different shot shapes or like trying to choke up on it, sometimes I can get in the 200 range too.
That or even like different course conditions too.
Totally, yeah.
Rollout will be different or, like you get on a dry golf course, this thing will probably roll a lot further type of thing.
Exactly.
So,
oh, there we go. That was a bit straighter. 3-wood's such a hard club to hit too. Like
it is. And I think it's actually, it's really good. Not good, but I think it's important that you make that point. Because I guess if you could kind of, try to maybe describe or explain sort of what is difficult about it compared to other clubs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a club that's low loft. And it separates it from the driver. I mean, the only other club that's typically a lower loft is your driver, but it's not on a tee most of the time. So that just makes it a lot harder right there. And like your room for error is so small. So like just anywhere like mishit on the club face, it's definitely going to be magnified with a 3-wood.
Right.
So that part definitely makes it tough. And especially if you're not hitting it off a tee and you're on the fairway on a tight fairway lie, that can be pretty tough. I will say I definitely make an effort to, whenever possible,
Really good
not
shot.
hit it in the rough either, just
Okay.
because of that room for error. But
Yep.
I typically pull for a 4 hybrid or something.
I think it's important you say that, because I think more and more now we are seeing this trend of amateur players, you know, that might struggle to get the ball in the air to play higher lofted fairway woods instead of even 3 woods because of what you're saying. You do have to be a little more precise and perfect with these to get the ball in the air and hit the shot that you're hitting right here. Okay, so this is really good. GT2, we got a lot of shots up there.
We had a couple missed ones in the beginning, but
Yeah, we've got, actually, that's really good dispersion. We got one over here out on the right that is hanging out over there on its own, one of the first couple of swings there. But really good stuff here from you. You know, and if you could kind of describe the feel of it, I mean, is it just kind of, it's just a solid, pleasing feel to you at impact, really?
yeah, honestly, that is a good way to describe it. I'm kind of a little bit more of a feel player, for those who might know from previous videos. And so for me, it is really just like the feeling off the club face, and it's just really crisp. I know, like, when I'm hitting it well, it's gonna do what I want it to do.
Yeah.
And I actually like that the face is like so compact and like small, and it doesn't have like anything like outward, like super wide or anything like protruding out. Sometimes that makes it harder for me, because then it's like if with clubs that are like that, because then it's easier for me to sometimes hit the ground first. So I kind of like that when I'm hitting it well, like I feel like it's a good clean impact, and I like it for that reason.
Yeah. Now, we don't get to test, you know, kind of the interaction with like grass in here because we're on a mat, but it sounds like you're kind of speaking to how efficiently that club will, you know, make contact with the fairway, or the, you know, maybe it's first cut you're hitting, whatever, and just get out of there quickly, making contact, where a lot of these clubs can maybe either skid in there or kind of get caught in the grass, and you can have some issues with that. So,
exactly.
Okay, well, yeah, numbers wise, I mean, this is really good. You're very consistent. A lot of shots in the same area out here. For this particular session, your average was about 210 total yards. Yeah, spin number's pretty darn good up there in the kind of lower 3,000s range. And like you mentioned, this is a club primarily when you're using it, you're kind of trying to chase it up towards the green on maybe a longer golf hole.
Totally.
Which the way you're hitting these shots clearly makes it a really good option for you for that purpose. So, all right, so now I'm gonna switch you now to an older club, the 915F here. We'll see if things change with the numbers.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. All right, I actually like the feel of this.
Yeah, so is the club head shape pretty similar? Because you were mentioning you kind of like how the GT2 is kind of compact. Is
Super
that
similar. It reminds me a lot of a club I used to have that's Titleist, so I wonder if it is or really similar to it. But yeah, it is. It's similar to the club I have now too. Oops, I slipped there, but
I noticed that your back foot kind of slipped, but it still kind of went out there. So I'm curious on a couple of things here. Basically, I want to see how consistent it is. I'm going to see if you end up mishitting one. I'm going to be very curious to see how that goes as well.
Okay. Like that was a mishit.
Okay. There's kind of a, you know, if we bring up the map here. So again, this is carry. If I move it to total,
that's crazy.
Things get a little more close together in total distance, but things quickly dropped off already after one that you didn't quite catch perfectly.
Yeah.
A little out to the right. I mean, I think because of how well you hit the ball, I don't think we're going to see a huge difference in terms of like maximum distance. But I think the consistency is where we might see some differences. So even ball speed, that's about where your kind of highest ball speed was with your GT.
Yeah, I can even tell I'm hitting it well, but I'm also seeing like it feels like similar contact. Like my smash factor's super good there, and you can even just tell like it's not nearly as consistent.
Also, it has been lower flighted too.
That's true. Yeah, I've noticed that.
I'm keeping an eye on that as well. Okay. That one got up there a little bit higher. Does it feel any different? Like, is there a feel difference when you make?
Not when I hit it well, but when I hit it bad, I definitely noticed it like kind of compounded.
Okay.
The missed shot.
Yeah. Okay.
I noticed it there.
It's flying. It's not flying well, and also it feels weird, and that's kind of, you know, obviously that's not as pleasing of an experience to hit a golf shot.
Totally.
That one was hit well.
Yeah, it was. See, like I feel like I'm hitting them. I mean, that's as good as it's gonna get, but.
I mean, that might actually be the furthest in terms of total distance, or it's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there for sure. Okay. Ooh, there's some more speed as well. Okay. Okay, we've got 7 with each now. So let's
Similar in totals.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the distance is going to be pretty similar.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that okay, this is great. So we'll start with the numbers here. You swung in the club, basically the same speed.
Yep.
Your ball speed actually identical on average.
That's crazy. Smash factors, dude, that's nuts.
Smash factor is the same. Interesting that the 915F spun a little bit on a lower rate for you, and is also launching a little lower. So the result there was the lower carry distance.
Yep.
But it was actually rolling out half a yard further.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also worth noting we've discussed several times on here just how consistent you swing. Your club path was a difference of 0.3. Your face angle average was the same. Okay. And so that, to me, that indicates that, and your attack angle was basically the same. So you're putting pretty similar swings on both of these golf clubs. For whatever reason, the GT2 is launching a little higher for you and giving you a little more spin, which kind of gives you a little more control. We can see here too that the dispersion was a little wider overall with that older club. You see that the oval's a little wider. You got some more shots kind of out on the outside here. And then we mentioned this kind of miss that you had, a slight miss, brought your distance down quite a bit.
For sure.
Whereas this kind of pack of these GT2s here right in the middle, pretty consistent. You kind of put a blanket over those. Yeah. What else? I mean, what else do you see here? Whether it's looking at the screen here with any of this information, or even just from hitting the shots. Yeah. Any thoughts on the 915F versus your gamer?
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually felt like I was maybe hitting it a little bit better with this club, just like putting a good swing on it. But I did notice, like, my biggest thing was the miss I did hit felt like it was really compounded. Definitely did not love like the feel off the face with that. Yeah. And there are clubs that can be a little bit more forgiving, and I think some of the newer models can be. So that was like the biggest thing that jumps out at me. But then also just noting the fact that I am hitting a little bit higher with the GT. I am a little bit of a low ball. I have a little bit of a low ball flight. So any height that I can get a little bit extra, as long as it's not like making me lose a ton of distance, which it's not in this case, is really good for me. Just any little bit of height makes it a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, and then I also wanted to point out just to, with the GT2, right, you were kind of hitting this sort of straight ball that was kind of ending up just ever so slightly right of the center line, right? So all these are just, they're not moving a ton in the air, just a little bit right. Whereas with the 915, you had, this one turnover, you had this one turnover, but then also you had a couple left out to the right. You had one over here, you had these hanging out to the right. So just a little bit less consistency with the 915F compared to the GT2. So I agree. Ultimately, I know you get fit here, and Aaron is one of the best in the biz in terms of getting fit. Aaron Roth, your fitter. So we would never question what he's doing, obviously. And we can see here he's doing a great job with it. And now I think what we can say is golfers that maybe want to upgrade with their 3-wood should maybe get with Aaron or any of our second swing fitters. Maybe GT2 is the club that's going to help you, because we can see here tighter dispersion, more consistency for Bella for sure. And it's helping her play a little better. So really good stuff here, Bella. Thanks for stopping in and hitting all the shots and kind of giving us the lowdown. This is a fun one.
Yeah, it was. Thank you.